Discipline is not a luxury or a temporary habit. It is the hidden strength that makes the difference between success and failure. It is forcing yourself to do what you need to do, even when you don't want to. This is the truth that many try to ignore, yet it is the only unavoidable truth. We may wait for the feeling of excitement or the right moment to begin, but the truth is that moment may never come. Those who continue to wait for readiness remain stuck in place while others move forward with steady steps. The problem is not the absence of opportunities but the absence of discipline when faced with them. How many times have you missed out on a great opportunity simply because you postponed taking action? And how many times have you lost years that could have been filled with achievements just for the sake of comfort? Here lies the truth. Motivation is temporary, while discipline is the daily decision that determines your fate, especially on days that seem tougher than others. This book does not talk about distant theories or empty slogans. It discusses a reality that every person experiences. It's about those moments when your inner voices rise to justify procrastination, narrating convincing excuses while you know deep inside that what you truly need is to take action now, not tomorrow. Here lies the real challenge: to conquer yourself before conquering anything else. What you will learn in the coming pages is not just words but a clear path to regain control over your life. If you can force yourself to be disciplined, you will discover that you are capable of changing every aspect of your life: your health, your work, your relationships, and even your self-image. This book is an invitation to start, to stop waiting, and to learn how to become the master of your decisions, instead of a slave to your habits or fluctuating moods. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and activate the notification bell to receive all new updates. Your support encourages us to continue. Chapter 1. Confront your laziness head-on and don't negotiate with it. Discipline is not something you find by chance, nor is it a guest that knocks on your door with a smile to change your life. Discipline is a battle that starts within you, a frank confrontation between you and that lazy voice that tries to convince you to postpone, to rest, and that tomorrow is a better time to start. When you feel the weight of the blanket holding you down, or when your mind whispers that you deserve a break, know that moment is the true test. If you accept negotiation, laziness will defeat you every time because laziness never runs out of excuses. It always has a new excuse to keep you where you are. Laziness doesn't always appear clearly. Sometimes it disguises itself in the form of trivial activities, endlessly scrolling through your phone, eating food you don't need, or getting caught up in small tasks that keep you away from what truly matters. This is the trick: to feel busy while you are actually escaping from the difficult. And the truth is that progress never lies in ease, but in confronting what requires effort, focus, and patience. If you want to build discipline, you need to see laziness for what it is: an enemy of your future. Every time you give in, you're not just wasting minutes, you're training yourself to give in. Every small excuse is more dangerous than you think. You might say, "I'll skip the workout today," but what's really happening is that you're building the habit of saying no to discipline. Over time, this habit becomes part of your personality, and you find yourself unable to continue in pivotal moments. However, when you refuse to negotiate, when you stand and move even though every part of you wants to stop, that's when you begin to build real strength. A strength that frees you from the chains of laziness and drives you forward. The secret here is simple yet profound. Discipline is not harshness towards yourself. It is the highest form of self-respect. It is saying, "My future deserves my effort today. My goals deserve me to endure the effort now." Laziness will not disappear entirely. It will appear tomorrow and the next day, but you can weaken it every time you choose action over excuses. With every small victory, you gain greater confidence in yourself, starting to trust that you can confront laziness whenever it returns, that you will not retreat but will stand and act, and here the transformation happens. You become the master of your decisions, and your life becomes a reflection of your strength and discipline, not the fragility of your excuses. Chapter 2. Start with small, immediate steps to train yourself for quick responses. Discipline is not just a side attribute we talk about in the context of success. It is the fundamental pillar upon which every true achievement is built. Many people search for shortcuts or magical ways to progress, but the simple truth that most ignore is that discipline is the only way. You may have talent, you may have dreams, and you may even have the opportunities that others yearn for, but if you lack discipline, you will lose all that at the first obstacle or the first feeling of laziness. Discipline means moving forward despite all the internal voices telling you, "Not today, tomorrow will be better." It is taking action when you feel no motivation. Enthusiasm may ignite your beginnings, but it won't carry you to the finish line. Success does not belong to those who feel desire all the time, but to those who understand that feelings are not a reliable guide. The successful choose action even when enthusiasm dims. Think for a moment, how many times have you sat waiting for the right moment? How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? And how many opportunities have slipped away from you because you weren't adequately prepared? The truth is that life doesn't give us warnings before knocking on our door. If you are not disciplined enough, the opportunity will slip from your hands while you are busy waiting. Success does not know how to wait. Success only recognizes those who commit to the small daily steps, no matter how difficult or boring they are. Discipline is not a single decision. It is thousands of small decisions you make every day. It is choosing to get up instead of staying in bed, choosing to exercise instead of being lazy, choosing to study instead of aimlessly scrolling through your phone. These decisions seem simple, but together, they determine who you will be in 1 year, 5 years, or 10. Success is not one big moment, but rather the accumulation of those small decisions made despite everything, and here lies its power. Discipline changes you from within. When you force yourself to commit, you begin to build a new image of yourself, one that is stronger and more confident. You become the person who trusts their promises to themselves. Every time you choose discipline, you affirm to yourself that you are capable, that you are responsible, and that you are in control of your life. This inner confidence cannot be bought or given. It is built through small moments of struggle and victory. Discipline also protects you from a dangerous enemy called procrastination. This enemy does not attack you all at once but slowly steals your time, making you postpone today, then lose a week, then a month, then years. Suddenly, you discover that life has passed by without you achieving anything. Discipline is the only weapon capable of silencing this enemy because it leaves you no choice to postpone. It pushes you to do what is necessary now, not tomorrow. If you want to change your life, start from here. Don't wait to feel ready. There will never come a day when you wake up filled with unstoppable enthusiasm. But you can choose to start, to take a small step today, and repeat it tomorrow and the day after. These small, disciplined steps will gradually transform into a powerful force driving you toward your goals. Discipline is not just a habit, it is a way of life, and its effects reflect on every aspect of your being. In your work, it raises your level and makes you a reliable person. In your health, it protects you from slacking and ensures you have continuous energy. In your relationships, it makes you more committed and responsible. Even in your inner life, it grants you calmness and confidence because you know you are in control of yourself and not subject to its excuses. In the end, all we want from this book is to put you in front of the truth. Success is not a complicated mystery. It is repeated discipline, doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, choosing commitment over comfort, and consistency over excuses. If you learn to live with this mindset, you will no longer be an ordinary person. You will become the leader of your life and the creator of your destiny. Chapter 3. Control your thoughts before they control your decisions. The greatest battles of discipline are not fought in the external world, but in the depths of the human mind. Every decision you make and every action you take begins first as a small thought in your head. If you don't learn how to control what goes on inside you, your life will remain a prisoner of emotions, fluctuating moods, and distorted perceptions. But when you have the ability to direct your thoughts, your decisions become clearer, stronger, and smarter, making discipline possible and realistic. Many people think that thinking is separate from actions and that what goes on inside them doesn't significantly affect their behavior. But the truth is that your actions are merely a reflection of what you allow your thoughts to plant within you. A person who repeats to themselves that they will never improve will sooner or later stop trying. Those who continuously believe they will fail will not even start. Thoughts are not just fleeting words. They are the seeds from which your decisions grow. Every decision you make today shapes the direction of your life tomorrow. When you leave your mind unchecked, it easily turns into a field of negativity. One negative thought drags along a series of other thoughts: fear, doubt, hesitation, excuses. You tell yourself, "I'm tired," or "I won't succeed," or "the effort isn't worth it." With the repetition of this internal dialogue, you find yourself avoiding what is difficult and settling for less than your capabilities. And so, without realizing it, your life becomes a reflection of the weakness of those thoughts. But the good news is that control is possible. You can train yourself to sort your thoughts just like you sort your food. You don't eat anything placed in front of you without thinking because you know that what enters your body affects your health. Likewise, you cannot allow any thought to settle in your mind. You must choose what deserves to stay and what should be discarded. This, in itself, is a skill of discipline. Discipline in managing thoughts begins with awareness. Most people live in automatic mode, not paying attention to what they are thinking. They believe that their thoughts are absolute truths when they are often just opinions or reflections of past experiences. When you start observing yourself and asking, "What am I thinking right now? Does this thought push me forward or hold me back?" you position yourself in a place of control rather than a victim's position. Just posing these questions creates a distance between you and the thought, turning your mind from a battleground into a field of awareness. The second step is replacement. You cannot simply expel a negative thought and leave the space empty because the mind does not operate in a vacuum. If you want to eliminate a destructive thought, you must plant a constructive thought in its place. When your mind tells you, "I can't," replace it with, "I may stumble, but I am capable of learning and growing." And when it says, "I don't feel like it now," change it to, "I will start now because starting generates motivation." Replacement does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It means directing your mind toward what strengthens you rather than what weakens you. The third step is controlling the sources that feed your mind. Your daily environment is the factory of your thoughts. The news you follow, the conversations you engage in, the people you spend time with, all leave their mark on your way of thinking. If you surround yourself with pessimists, you will think like them. If you fill your day with empty entertainment, you will find your mind directed toward comfort rather than growth. Therefore, discipline in thinking also begins with discipline in choosing the environment you live in. One of the most powerful tools on this path is the habit of reflection. Set aside time daily to ask yourself, "Did my thoughts help me progress today? Did they make me more disciplined or less? Where did I allow negative thinking to take control, and where did I triumph over myself?" This reflection makes you more aware of your mental patterns and gives you the opportunity to correct them before they turn into entrenched habits. Remember that your emotions are not independent from your thinking. If your mind is distracted and negative, you will find yourself anxious and frustrated, not always because of the circumstances, but because of your interpretation of them. However, when your thinking is disciplined, your emotions become more stable, and you find within yourself a calmness and strength. This emotional stability is what gives you the ability to make better decisions and to continue on your path even when things get tough. Discipline in thinking does not mean denying difficulties but choosing how to deal with them. One person may face the same challenge as another, and yet one says, "This is difficult, but I can take one step," while another says, "This is difficult, so I won't try." The result is completely different even though the situation is the same. The difference lies entirely in the internal dialogue. Start applying it from the small moments. When the alarm rings, notice the first thought that comes to you. When faced with a daunting task, observe what your mind says. When you tend to procrastinate, immediately change that sentence justifying laziness. Tell yourself, "Waking up now empowers me. Starting now proves my discipline." It may be a lot, but I will start with the first step. With repetition, you will reprogram yourself to make your thoughts your ally instead of your enemy. Over time, you will discover that you are no longer a victim of your mind, but have become its leader. You will not fall at the first temptation or distraction because you have an internal clarity guiding you. This quiet strength is what makes the difference between someone who lives reactively and someone who lives with will, awareness, and choice. In the end, remember this truth. Mental discipline is not a prison but freedom because it liberates you from the chaos of emotions and doubts, granting you the ability to be the decision maker. When you control your thoughts, you become the master of yourself, and when you become the master of yourself, discipline becomes a lifestyle, not just a habit. Chapter 4. Repeat the behavior until your mind accepts it. Human behavior does not happen by chance. It is the result of patterns that repeat within our minds. Anything you do consistently becomes easier over time, then familiar, and eventually turns into a habit. Whether this thing is beneficial or harmful, the mind does not differentiate. What you repeat often will eventually be accepted as natural. If you repeat procrastination, postponement will become your lifestyle. If you repeat excuses, avoidance will be your automatic response to every challenge. But if you repeat strength, patience, and discipline, these are what will become your new nature. At first, any new behavior may seem difficult, strange, and uncomfortable. Your mind will reject it not because you are weak, but because your brain likes to stay in the familiar. However, repetition is the key. Every time you force yourself to repeat the new behavior, you are reprogramming your mind. Over time, what was difficult becomes normal, and what seemed impossible becomes automatic. Think for a moment about the first time you drove a car, spoke in front of a group of people, or woke up early after a long period of staying up late. The experience was exhausting, confusing, and perhaps annoying, but after repetition, these actions became normal and now require little effort from you. This is not because the behavior changed, but because your mind adapted to the repetition. The problem is that most people give up before reaching this stage. They start a new habit but withdraw when they feel uncomfortable. They think that discipline should be easy from the beginning, but nothing is natural in the beginning. Even walking as a child seemed impossible, but you didn't stop, and now you walk without even thinking about it. The secret is to push yourself through the discomfort phase, to repeat the behavior until it becomes familiar. This is the point at which true discipline is formed. Discipline is not built in moments of enthusiasm but in moments of fatigue, boredom, and resistance. However, repetition does not mean a massive effort. You don't need to do something big all at once. You need to do something small every day. The true power lies not in the intensity of the effort but in its consistency. Reading 2 pages a day is more powerful than reading 150 pages once a month. 5 minutes of exercise every day is stronger than an hour every 2 weeks because the mind learns from consistency, not from temporary bursts of effort. Don't think that results should appear immediately. Your mind does not change in a day or two. Change happens when you continue to repeat even in the absence of results. It's like planting. If you plant a seed and then dig the ground every day to see if it's growing, it will never grow. But if you plant and water patiently, you will be amazed at what sprouts. What's even better is that every repetition is evidence. Every time you repeat a disciplined behavior, you send a message to your mind saying, "I am capable." Over time, these messages turn into internal certainties. You become confident and steadfast, and you no longer need to remind yourself every day because discipline is no longer something you try to do, but has become part of your personality. Yes, you will sometimes feel bored. You will feel that repetition is dull and unexciting, but know that these ordinary days are the ones that make the real difference. Success is not the result of extraordinary moments, but the result of your commitment on ordinary days. The difference between those who succeed and those who stop is that the successful repeat even in the absence of enthusiasm. In the end, repetition is not an option. It is a prerequisite, not because you are weak, but because you are human, and your mind does not change unless you force it to adapt to the new reality. First, you carry the habit, and then the habit carries you. Discipline is not a mystery, a talent, or a trait you are born with. Discipline is built through repetition, repetition, and then repetition. Chapter 5. Replace negative self-talk with firm guidance. The words you whisper to yourself every day are more dangerous than you think. They determine whether you will remain a prisoner of procrastination and fear or rise with strength to build your life with discipline. The mind feeds on what it hears from you. It is shaped by your phrases and programmed by your inner voice. If it is filled with doubts and excuses, you cannot expect your actions to be strong and assertive. But if they are clear, firm, and direct, they become a force that pushes you forward regardless of the circumstances. The problem is that negative self-talk does not always come loudly. It sneaks in quietly, telling you that you are not ready, reminding you of your past failures, whispering that the effort is heavier than your ability. Because these thoughts are repeated, the mind begins to accept them as fixed truths. Unconsciously, people repeat them day after day until they become their reality. Someone who tells themselves, "I am weak," will live weakly, and someone who repeats, "I will not change," will never change. The mind simply follows the most repeated words, especially if they come from within you. Discipline starts here, by stopping the authority of your inner voice that destroys, replacing it with a firm voice that guides you. Treat yourself as a leader giving clear orders, not as a critic who tears you down. Firm guidance does not mean lying to yourself or pretending that everything is easy. It means rejecting the language of weakness. It means commanding yourself to do what needs to happen now without negotiation or excuses. Vague phrases like, "Maybe I should do this," open the door to hesitation, but a decisive phrase like, "I will start now," drives the body into immediate action. The first step is awareness. Many live enslaved by negative phrases they repeat daily. "I'm exhausted," "I'm not smart enough," "I will never succeed." These phrases may seem innocent, but they are poison that seeps in slowly. Once you learn to notice them, you will realize they have been silently stealing your discipline. The second step is immediate replacement. Do not leave a void after silencing the negative voice because the void will quickly fill with excuses. Instead of, "I can't," say, "I will take one step now." Instead of, "I'm lazy," say, "I will stand and move immediately." This way, negative energy transforms into positive action. But firm guidance requires clarity and precision. It's not enough to say, "I can." That's vague and broad. Say, "I will write a page now." "I will turn off my phone and focus." "I will walk for 5 minutes." Specific phrases cut off excuses, while ambiguity leaves room for them to return. Here lies the power of discipline: clear, direct, executable commands. You may be surprised that your negative voice sometimes hides in a guise of compassion, telling you, You deserve a rest, while you haven't worked yet, or tomorrow will be a better day, stealing today from you. This kind of deception is comfortable but dangerous. Firm guidance reveals the truth. Rest comes after work, not before. Tomorrow will not change unless you move today. It cuts off the illusions that tempt you with laziness. Your environment also affects your internal dialogue. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain or live by low standards, you will find their words echoing in you even in their absence. But if you surround yourself with strong people who speak clearly and confidently, your voice will change to match theirs. Therefore, carefully choose the voices you allow to influence you. Practically train yourself to identify the most common excuses you tell yourself, then beside each excuse, write the firm instruction that will replace it. I'm tired becomes, I will start with 5 minutes no matter how I feel. I won't succeed becomes, I will train every day until I improve. Read these instructions consistently, and whenever the negative voice tries to return, confront it with your new decision. With repetition, your mind begins to accept the new commands as its natural standards. Firm guidance is not harshness. It is the truest form of compassion. Negative self-talk weakens you because it lies to you, exaggerates your weaknesses, and hides your strengths. However, firm guidance reveals the truth. Maybe you are not comfortable, but you are capable. Maybe you don't see the results yet, but if you persist, you will arrive. This honesty may be difficult to hear, but it builds a solid foundation for your discipline. Over time, your internal voice will become your trusted leader. Instead of whispering doubt, it will command you to act. Instead of reminding you of weakness, it will remind you of strength. You will wake up and hear yourself say, "Get up now." You will face a difficult task and hear, "Do it immediately." You will feel the resistance and hear, "Keep going until the end." This is the real transformation, to have your inner self as a leader guiding you toward growth every day. Chapter 6. Use pressure to move when comfort tempts you. Comfort is one of the biggest enemies of discipline. You feel secure in calmness and the familiar, but it is not a friend to your progress. The more you surrender to it, the further it pulls you away from your goals. Comfort whispers to you, "Take it easy, postpone the difficult task, rest a little." At first glance, this seems innocent, but over time, it weakens your motivation and lowers your standards. The only way to break its grip is to apply pressure to create conditions that force you to move when your mind and body prefer to stay still. Pressure is not your enemy. It is often the tool that reveals the best in you. Remember deadlines. How many times have you postponed work until the last moment, then accomplished in a few hours more than you had in weeks? Not because you weren't capable before, but because pressure forced you to act. The problem is that most people wait for external pressure, deadlines, emergencies, or consequences before they take action. Discipline grows when you learn to impose pressure on yourself before life imposes it on you. Comfort knows no urgency. It convinces you that tomorrow will compensate for today and that postponement won't be costly. But pressure creates urgency and tells you that the time is now, not later. There are many ways to create pressure. The first is accountability. When you tell someone what you will do, when you make your goals visible, you introduce a type of weight that pushes you forward. If you promised yourself to exercise but didn't tell anyone, comfort will tempt you to backtrack. But if you tell a friend or publicly share your goal, it creates additional pressure that increases the likelihood of execution. Another way is to set deadlines. A goal without a specified date is merely a wish. Procrastination lets comfort take control, but a fixed date creates pressure that focuses your mind and shortens the time until the best. Make deadlines shorter than your usual comfort. This urgency forces you to reduce distractions and prioritize. You can also use financial or investment pressure. Invest in something that compels you to commit, training courses, tools, or any costs you incur. When there is something at stake, postponement becomes harder to justify, and comfort becomes less appealing. Pressure also comes from raising your standards. Accepting mediocrity allows comfort to take control easily. However, if you raise your expectations, you will impose on yourself the need to act seriously even when you don't feel like it. Here, pressure is not about striving for perfection, but about refusing to surrender to comfort. You can enhance this by envisioning the cost of comfort. Imagine your life if you always chose ease over effort, the wasted time, lost opportunities, and accumulating regrets. This image generates a strong emotional pressure that moves you immediately. Also, learn to use pressure during moments of weakness. When you feel like withdrawing into comfort, give yourself a firm command: do it now, no postponement. These firm words create immediate internal pressure, leaving no room for negotiation and pushing you to move at the very moment of weakness. Don't forget the power of responsibility. When others depend on you, you cannot allow comfort to prevail. Parents, leaders, and employees who give their best effort despite fatigue move not because they are always enthusiastic, but because responsibility compels them to act. You can use this principle in your life. Take on commitments that require your discipline. The more others depend on you, the weaker the authority of comfort becomes. Comfort will never disappear, but it can be conquered by pressure. Comfort is pleasant, pressure is stern. Comfort whispers, pressure commands. Whom you choose to listen to determines the direction of your life. Make pressure a daily tool. Set strict deadlines, announce your commitments, link actual value to what you do, raise your expectations, and remember the cost of yielding to comfort. Every time comfort confronts you and tempts you to postpone, respond with pressure. Move immediately, choose progress over ease. The repeated decision builds your life through discipline. It is not easy, but it is possible, and every time you use pressure to overcome comfort, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagine. Chapter 7. Build mental toughness by choosing effort over comfort. Mental toughness is the ability to persist when every part of you wants to stop. It is the strength that keeps you engaged in effort rather than fleeing to comfort. Life constantly presents you with two choices: effort that makes you stronger or comfort that keeps you weak. The easy path tempts you every day, but it does not know your true limits. True discipline belongs to those who train themselves to choose effort consistently, even when comfort seems more enticing. Your toughness is not built in comfort, but in moments where effort feels heavy and resistance is difficult, where you want to escape. Here, it is determined who will give up and who will continue. Your mind teaches you that comfort is more important than progress. Persistence teaches you that effort defines your identity, and over time, these choices shape your character. You become a person who collapses in the face of comfort or a person who thrives through effort. Many people do not realize how often they unconsciously choose comfort. They turn to food when stressed instead of facing problems, check their phones to avoid tough tasks, or stop what they started because the effort is uncomfortable. Each moment may seem small, but they accumulate to become a permanent pattern. A pattern that builds weakness or toughness. Your mind adapts to what you feed it. Choosing effort means rejecting the urge to escape discomfort. It means accepting that growth requires pain and that strength demands sacrifice and that progress will never be easy. The truth is that the difficulty of effort is temporary, while the weakness resulting from seeking comfort persists for a long time. When you complete a task, the pain subsides, and the reward remains. When you escape, the comfort fades, leaving behind regret. Mental toughness teaches you to live for the long-term reward rather than the short escape. Comfort always deceives you with an innocent appearance. You deserve a short rest, it says. The problem can wait, but these small moments compound. A short rest turns into wasted hours, A neglected day turns into weeks of neglect. Every time you allow comfort to take control, you weaken your ability to choose effort later. So be strict in rejecting false comfort. Build your toughness with small steps. You don't need to start with the hardest challenge. Begin by completing an exercise without cutting corners, finishing a task before checking your phone, or staying focused for a specific period without distraction. Every small victory strengthens your endurance and tells your mind that you are capable of facing discomfort. The more you repeat this, the tougher you become. With strength, seek effort intentionally. Choose to walk instead of taking the elevator, stay with the problem instead of giving up when facing difficulty, or finish what you started despite the desire to stop. Every choice builds your resilience. Mental toughness is not a talent you are born with. It is a habit built by consistently choosing effort over comfort. Another part of toughness is self-respect. Every time you choose effort, you prove to yourself that you are worthy of completing what you start. Confidence breeds pride, and pride fuels confidence. But when you choose comfort, you lose your self-respect and will feel disappointment later. The way to regain it is through continuous effort. Every time you surpass comfort, you regain your respect. Patience is an essential part of toughness. Comfort seems attractive because it is immediate, while effort requires time before results become evident. You may work for weeks before seeing clear changes, and many give up here. The disciplined person understands that every day of effort is a cornerstone and trusts that rewards will come with continued accumulation. This confidence allows them to persist despite the allure of comfort. To increase your toughness, set rules that you do not break. Complete your daily goal before sleeping. Don't stop halfway. These rules act as an anchor. When comfort tempts you, they remind you of your standards. Effort becomes manageable once you overcome the difficult beginning. With every time you persist, your resilience grows naturally. Look at effort as training, not punishment. Every challenging task is a workout for your mind. Every uncomfortable moment is training for endurance. This perspective transforms effort into a tool that keeps you unshaken. People who see effort as punishment flee from it, while those who view effort as training welcome it. Comfort is temporary, but it does not build character. Character is built through effort. When you become fatigued and continue, you grow. When you feel fear and act despite it, you grow. You grow when you want to give up and carry on. These moments define your toughness and distinguish between the disciplined and the undisciplined, between the exceptional and the ordinary. Everyone has access to these moments, and the difference lies in whether you choose effort or comfort. Begin today by observing your daily choices. When comfort entices you, ask yourself, which decision makes me stronger? Which choice will I be proud of later? Which path builds my discipline? The answer is almost always effort. Make the decision quickly. Do not give comfort a chance to object. The harder path is what builds toughness. Over the weeks, you will notice the difference. Tasks that were difficult will become easier, and challenges that broke your will become manageable. You will begin to carry yourself with quiet confidence, knowing you can rely on your strength. This transformation will not come from reading or wishing for it, but from the consistent choice of effort when comfort tempts you. This is the foundation of mental toughness. Every time you choose effort over comfort, you become stronger, and every time you choose comfort over effort, you become weaker. The decision is yours, and with your continued choice of effort, discipline becomes a natural part of your life. Chapter 8. Combat impulses by reminding yourself of future pain. Impulses are sudden desires that push you toward comfort, distraction, or immediate pleasure. They appear suddenly, and if you succumb to them, they pull you away from the path of discipline. You may feel an urge to skip your workout, eat unhealthy food, postpone an important task, or give up before completing what you started. In the moment, these desires seem innocent and even justified, but they are, in fact, short-term traps that carry long-term pain. To force discipline to show up in your life, you must practice confronting these desires by reminding yourself of the cost of yielding to them. Every choice carries a consequence, but impulses hide their long-term effects from you. They make your mind focus only on the present moment. Sugar in food seems delicious now. Postponed exercise seems easier now. Postponed work seems lighter now. But tomorrow will come, bringing feelings of weakness, regret, and disappointment. That regret is the pain that impulses do not reveal in advance. The secret to overcoming impulses is to stop for a moment and project yourself into the future to clearly envision the pain resulting from surrendering. Think about the time you allowed a sudden desire to take control of you. How did you feel afterward? Did the pleasure last, or did it quickly fade, leaving behind guilt and disappointment? The truth is that the pleasure of impulses never lasts, just like regret, which grows and weighs you down over time. When you remember this truth, you begin to see impulses for what they are, short-term thieves stealing your long-term strength. Discipline is training the mind to look beyond the present moment. Anyone can choose what makes them comfortable now, but the disciplined individual chooses based on its impact on tomorrow. This ability distinguishes between growth and stagnation. If you are always chasing impulses, you will live in cycles of starting and stopping, motivated one day and defeated the next. But if you fight impulses by reminding yourself of future pain, you begin to break this pattern and gain control over yourself. One of the most potent tools is mental visualization. When an impulse arises, don't just focus on the comfort it offers. Instead, imagine the pain that will follow it. Picture yourself in front of the mirror, seeing no progress because you skipped the workout again. Imagine the tension resulting from the accumulation of tasks. Imagine the lost opportunities due to surrender. Let these images become clear. The emotional reminder of pain cuts through the false pleasure of desire. Remember that impulses are temporary. They seem strong in the moment, but they fade quickly if you endure. The problem is that most people do not learn to wait. They feel the desire and respond immediately. But if you pause and remind yourself of the future pain and hold your position, the impulse weakens. Every time you endure, you gain new strength, and every time you resist, you build greater confidence in yourself. With practice, the impulse loses its power. Facing impulses also requires awareness. Notice the situations that trigger them, perhaps during fatigue, stress, or boredom. If you do not identify these triggers, you will always fall into the same trap. Once you know them, you can prepare in advance and decide how you will act when the desire arises. Replace the impulse with a stronger action. If you feel the urge to skip work, start with a small part of it immediately. If you feel the urge to eat unhealthy food, drink a glass of water first. If you feel the urge to scroll aimlessly, go for a short walk. Replacement weakens the impulse by transforming the energy. Over time, your mind learns that when the desire arises, you do not obey it. Instead, you turn it into something useful. The cost of living according to impulses is heavy. It may not destroy you in a day, but it gradually weakens your strength. One missed workout is not a problem, but repeated impulses build a body that you do not respect. One postponed task is not an issue, but repeated surrender creates a life filled with missed opportunities. Anyone living today with regret was once someone who surrendered to impulses. You must accept that impulses will never completely disappear. They will always come. The goal is not to eliminate them but to control them. You win by creating a gap between desire and action, by pausing long enough to remind yourself of the pain you are avoiding. In this gap lies your strength. In this gap, you decide to live with discipline instead of regret. With repetition, fighting against impulses becomes a habit. It will not be exhausting. You'll recognize the impulse, reject it quickly, and feel in control of yourself. You will feel proud, not only of what you achieve but also because you no longer succumb to it. And this pride fuels greater discipline. Change your perspective on pain. Most people run from it, but discipline means facing it. The pain of effort is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. When the impulse arises, ask yourself, which pain do you choose? If you surrender, you choose long-term pain. If you resist, you choose short-term pain. Discipline is choosing the pain that serves you, not the one that destroys you. Remember the kind of life you want. Do you want to be someone who obeys every impulse or someone who controls themselves? Do you want to look at your life with pride or regret? Impulses care about the moment, but you care about tomorrow. Your big vision is what allows you to resist temptation. Over time, controlling impulses becomes one of your greatest strengths. You trust yourself completely. You know that when a desire arises, you will not be its slave. You will observe it, remember the pain it causes, and make the stronger choice. This confidence grants you freedom, liberating you entirely from what matters because you are no longer subject to fleeting desires. Discipline is the art of making decisions based on long-term vision rather than immediate desire. Impulses will continue to try to pull you toward comfort, but when you fight them by reminding yourself of long-term pain, you strip them of their power. You create a gap between your feelings and your choices, and in this gap resides discipline. From now on, do not act on your impulses directly. When the desire arises, stop and think about the pain you will feel tomorrow. Make this thought heavier than the moment's comfort, then act according to your highest standard, not your lowest desire. With every time you do this, you strengthen your discipline. Every victory affirms that your future is more important than your impulses. A disciplined life is built daily through these small battles, choosing effort over regret, discipline over weakness. This starts with one strong skill: fighting impulses by reminding yourself of the long-term pain. This reminder is the shield that protects you from regret and the tool that builds the strongest version of yourself. Chapter 10. Live with awareness and discipline. Discipline is not just a fleeting habit or a temporary decision we make on an enthusiastic day and then abandon when the road gets tough. It is a profound internal stance resembling the contract that binds you to yourself, reminding you at every moment that you are the primary and final responsible person for your life. Many search for motivation, for enthusiasm, for that spark that pushes them to launch. But the shocking truth is that enthusiasm is short-lived. What remains and endures is discipline, as it does not depend on your mood or mental state but on your deep awareness that life will not give you what you deserve unless you pay the price of effort first. Awareness is the first step, recognizing that every moment that passes is either an opportunity for building or a wasted moment added to the account of regret. Understanding that excuses, however convincing they may seem, will change nothing about reality, they will only leave you stuck at the same point. When you live with awareness, you see clearly where you place your time and energy and understand that every small habit, no matter how trivial it seems, either brings you closer to your goals or pushes you further away. There is no gray area. You either move forward or allow comfort to pull you back. But awareness alone is not enough. How many people know what they should do and fully understand the habits that hinder them, yet remain prisoners of hesitation and procrastination? Here is where discipline comes in, the strength that makes you move despite not wanting to, the force that drives you to do what you must even when the voices inside you scream, "Not now." Discipline means choosing the difficulty now to live in comfort later, instead of choosing comfort now and facing a life full of difficulties later. Life always asks you this question: will you choose the pain, the temporary pain of discipline or the ongoing pain of regret? Those who evade commitment pay the price doubly later, while those who train themselves in discipline discover that the hardest battles are not outside but within their minds. For the most challenging step is not accomplishing the task itself, but forcing yourself to start. Once you begin, you discover that the wall you feared was not as solid as you thought. It was merely an illusion created by your mind to keep you in place. To live with awareness and discipline, you must stop waiting for perfect conditions and for the moment of motivation. There is no such thing as the right time. The perfect moment is now, and the real opportunity is to start with a small step, then repeat it, and then make it a habit until your whole life transforms into a series of conscious decisions that shape your future. Discipline is not a prison as some may think. It is true freedom. The freedom to control yourself, not to be controlled by fleeting desires. The freedom to choose to build your day instead of letting it be built by chance. In the end, awareness opens your eyes to the truth, and discipline gives you the courage to live it. Make your life a reflection of your conscious choices, not a result of your old habits. Every morning, ask yourself, will I allow comfort to lead me, or will I guide myself with discipline? The answer is what will determine the shape of your future. Before concluding, if you like the content, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Your support is the fuel that drives us to continue and strive to provide the best always. Life may sometimes seem like a battle between your desire to progress and your natural inclination toward comfort. Perhaps the hardest part of this battle is not the path itself, but that brief moment that precedes action. The moment when your mind hesitates and searches for excuses to retreat and convinces you that tomorrow is better than today. But the clear and undeniable truth is that waiting will bring you nothing. The more you depend on your feelings or external motivation, the closer you are to failure. However, every time you force yourself to act without hesitation, you build within yourself a new belief, a belief that you are in control, not your emotions, not your fluctuations, nor your circumstances. With repetition, this belief transforms into a habit, and this habit becomes part of your new nature, a nature that leads you to true freedom. Freedom here does not mean living with obligations, but being the master of yourself, not a slave to your fluctuations. It means being able to act even in the absence of enthusiasm, committing to what you decided even when the easier path tempts you. Feelings are inherently fleeting, fluctuating, and weak in the face of difficulties. But commitment is what remains. It is what makes the difference between a life built and a life destroyed. When you train yourself to make decisions and implement them without hesitation, you shorten the distance between thought and action and break that vicious cycle of procrastination. At that point, discipline becomes your identity, not just a transient habit. It becomes part of you as if you cannot be otherwise. The road is neither easy, and this is where you must be candid with yourself. Discipline means sometimes choosing short-term pain over temporary comfort, accepting fatigue as part of the equation, and reconciling with the fact that growth does not arise from comfort but from challenge. Every standard you set for yourself, every rule that is non-negotiable, every decision made and executed despite the moment's difficulty, all of this forms a cornerstone in building a new character. A character that knows that achievement does not wait for perfect conditions but creates them. And when action becomes a habit, you become different. Do not stop. Do not retreat. Do not wait for inspiration or perfect circumstances. When you reach this stage, you will realize that you are no longer someone who chases fleeting motivations. You have become a steady force, moving steadily on your path regardless of the storms. You will not waste your days because you didn't feel like it. You will not live in waiting for motivation to come to you. You will live with internal certainty, the certainty that you will move, work, and build no matter how you feel in that moment. This certainty is the wall upon which every step you take leans, the foundation upon which you build your progress, and the path to a life filled with strength, achievement, and self-respect above all else. Only then will you discover that discipline is not a constraint. It was the greatest key to your freedom. And here we have reached the end of the book. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoyed it. Goodbye until the next video.